last method to forecast sales we want to look at for this chapter is multiple regression. It's based on the concept that there's multiple variables that impact sales. These are the ones that this company feels has an impact. The price of the product, and this is the price of the product for this company versus the industry average. Thus, an index of 102 would indicate their price is 2% above the average industry price. Last year is 94.5, which indicates their price is about 5.5% lower than the average for their industry. Here is the budget for promotions, trade promotions, consumer promotions. Here's the budget for advertising that was spent. This is the number of sales calls their personal salespeople made. This is the number of demos that those salespeople made. The concept is that through sales calls they get to demonstrate the product, and then a certain percentage of those purchase it. This company feels that the inflation rate has an impact on what their sales will be. The last one is the CPI. That's the Consumer Price Index. So based on the Consumer Price Index, again, this company thinks that is a factor in the sales. So we're going to do the same thing we did last time with simple regression, except we're using multiple X variables. So let's go to data, and let's go to data analysis. Let's choose regression. Now for our Y variable, we're still going to use the same sales figures. For our X variable, however, it's going to be all of these in this range, because all of them are supposedly hypothesized to have an impact. Tell it OK. Here is our multiple regression results. Again, notice it's on a separate sheet. Coefficients is what we're after, so let's just take the coefficients, let's copy them into our original spreadsheet, and I think we will put them off to the side here just so that it's a little easier for us to use. You may need to widen your cell a little bit. And for instance, this is the intercept. This is where the line intercepts the x-axis. This is the coefficient for the price index. This is the intercept, or the coefficient for promotions, and so on. Now, using multiple regression, you have to estimate what each of these factors will be for the next year. So this company predicts that their price is going to be about 5% below industry average, which would give it an index of 95. Budget for promotions is 50,000. Budget for advertising is 55,000. They anticipate making 950 sales calls. They anticipate about 180 demos. They think inflation rate prediction is around 3%. The prediction on the CPI is 210. So let's start copying these coefficients. We'll start with the intercept. We're going to copy it and we're going to paste it here just so that we have it. We're going price index. Let's copy it and move it over here underneath the price index. Let's copy the promotions and paste it here. Copy the ad budget, place it here. Copy the sales calls coefficient, paste it here. Sales demo, we'll copy it and paste it in. Our inflation rate, copy and paste it. And then the last one we're going to do is CPI and paste it. Now, when you're doing these, you may notice these little hash marks. The reason they appear is the column isn't sufficiently wide enough to allow for the number. Notice I just made it wider than the number appears. Now, all we need to do, this next step, is to multiply the estimate times the coefficient. So for the price index, we're going to take the estimate, which is cell C40, and we're going to multiply that times the coefficient in C41. And once we do that, we can just copy that all the way down. Notice I put a 1 for the intercept to make sure that we copy that. Otherwise, we won't come out with the correct answer. Then for the sales, we're just going to sum all of these numbers down here. So equals sum, and we're going to go from the cell C42 all the way to J42. And notice that our forecast is $919,860. Let's highlight that. Well, let's choose a yellow to put it in. Make it larger, make it bold, and it's very easy to see. So that's our forecast using multiple regression, 919,860. Now, a couple things to look at on this, just so that you understand what these numbers mean. For instance, notice for sales demo, the coefficient 1,173. What this says is, based on this historical data, for every demo that a salesperson makes, it generates about $1,173 in sales. Every sales call generates about $110. For every dollar we spend on promotion, it generates about $12. These provide an indicator of impact, but they're not always perfect. We've only got a few years of data. For instance, if you look at ad budget, it's a minus 16, which says for every dollar we spend, sales goes down $16. I'm sure that's not happening. If we made our budget 0, I'm sure it's going to have a negative impact on sales. But it's just the relationship of these numbers taken together on the sales forecast. So while it provides some help, you can't rely on those numbers to say, well, this is how much of an impact every dollar we spend has. It doesn't always work out that way. So using multiple regression, forecast is $919,860.